Just a fair warning, although this is far from the worst commentary I've ever seen, it is one of the most frustrating, and you guys will see why throughout the video. So the first thing we see is text, the color of which not only hurts my eyes, but also in general just makes the text hard to read.
But anyways, I was on YouTube and randomly got recommended this video by Melanie Miku called Transgender Representation in Gaming, A Brief History. You know, with a title like that, a title that good, we can already infer this is going to be one of the best videos of all time. C-A-P especially when the thumbnail has Birdo, a character who literally is not trans, and also Vivian from Paper Mario, which, you guessed correctly, is also not trans.
Can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
I do really love how the trans community will literally grab at any crumbs with, any crumbs with their, crusty, grimy paws that they possibly can for those representation points. Like, seriously though.
Yeah, that's great and all. Are you going to actually start the video anytime soon, or are we going to have to listen to you continue to engage in drawn-out sarcasm and say committee instead of community for the rest of fucking eternity?
Have we fallen so far as a society that we now think Birdo, a character who dresses up as a girl, is now trans?
But that's not what the video you're covering bases this conclusion off of. Instead, it points out lines from the Super Mario Bros. 2 instruction manual that hint at it. Such as one which states that Berta would rather be called the feminine name Bernetta.
Also, if it wasn't obvious enough, this is a person who throws around the homophobic and transphobic card like it's nothing.
Really? Can you give me some reason to believe that instead of just blindly stating it? Because I don't actually view that as obvious, truth be told.
Transgender representation in media has always been a troubling topic.
Yeah, I know, we aren't even 5 seconds in yet, and we're already stopping the video. Okay, now I just want to say, I am not transphobic, I am not scared of trans people, okay? Okay? However, let me just say this has got to be one of the most ugliest stills I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, did you even try to make her look feminine?
Yeah? The OC in question is wearing a nightgown, for example, which is typically seen as feminine clothing.
This straight up looks like a cross between Chris Chan.
I have a boyfriend. Tell me why I'm stuck as a virgin with breast.
And a My Little Pony, like if they had some mentally challenged baby together.
He's out of line, but he's right.
I have nothing to say about that insult outside of I don't see it in the slightest, but instead I just want to point out how you felt the need to put a clip of somebody saying "you're right" after your point. I think we have found the commentary equivalent of sitcom canned laughter. Anyway, I'm gonna be skipping a rather tasteless and just not that funny joke about the, as already mentioned, non-existent visual similarities between this person and Chris Chan.
Also, am I just a fully functioning retard?
Yes.
Or, like, what? Because she put they/she in their, like, pronouns or whatever, is that even a thing? Like,
to put this in terms you can understand,
yes.
Specifically, feminine-leaning non-binary people tend to use they/she in order to signify they're fine with both she, her, and they/them pronouns.
Like, I'm serious, I thought it was they/them. I feel like at this point, can we just mix and match?
Yes.
Like, what's stopping somebody from putting he/she? I guess nothing.
Yes. Fuck, I've seen people do that before. I've also seen people list their pronouns as any, all, which essentially means they're fine with being called whatever, including both he, him, and she, her.
In more recent years, sometimes we get absolutely fantastic trans representation, both in-depth or just casually. Characters that help truly normalize the idea of being transgender.
These aren't my words, okay? I'm just quoting a very based YouTuber named Poncho. Okay, YouTube, these aren't my words.
They're just words you're about to parrot with the implication that you agree with them. Fuck, you even call the guy saying it based, and unless you're talking about his pH level, most people understand that to be a term of endearment.
Poncho said, why would I hate on somebody who is delusional?
When somebody says the word transphobe or transphobic, you usually think of somebody hating trans people, and that's just stupid, because I don't see any reason why I would need to hate on somebody for being delusional.
So like, according to Poncho, not me YouTube, I ain't no transphobe, I am a she/her, a woman of color.
Yeah, I know the bit you're trying to do here, and it doesn't work for a variety of reasons. Even ignoring the fact that you claim to be trans, which I'm pretty sure is a joke, but even assuming it's not, that wouldn't be the defense you seem to think it is, because there have been transgender people who have been criticized for holding transphobic views. Blair White and Buck Angel come to mind. But also, the main reason why anybody and everybody can see through this transparent attempt at pretending you don't hold views you actually hold is, well, why would you bring this up in the first place if you didn't actually believe it?
And then we have the majority of transgender representation. Pandering, poorly written, played up for jokes in a harmful way, or just shoehorned in.
Yeah, that's right, you guys. You can't make fun of trans people or gay people or joke about them at all because, you know, they are a protected class.
That's not what she said. She specifically said they were played up for jokes in a harmful way. The implication being that if you are doing transgender-related comedy in a way that is not harmful, she wouldn't take issue with it.
But you can make fun of straight people as much as you want.
She never said that.
And like, really, using a Family Guy clip for your example of all things, you're using transgender as a way for playing up what for jokes or whatever. Like, are you dense? Family Guy is a comedy. No shit, they're going to play something up for jokes.
So the example she gave was entirely accurate then? I don't even get what your criticism is supposed to be here.
I just hate modern day society though, where like every person under the sun needs to be represented in media. Like, who the fuck cares?
This video isn't arguing for representation though, it's talking about already existing examples of transgender representation. So saying that she's claiming that transgender people need to be represented just doesn't make any sense.
Transgender character in a video game starts in 1988, with the American version of Super Mario Bros. 2. It's a commonly known story today, but to catch everyone up, when Nintendo was developing Mario 2 in Japan, Nintendo of America decided the game was too hard and frustrating for an American market. So Nintendo of America took a Japanese exclusive game, Doki Doki Panic, and gave it a Mario themed coat of paint, and released it in stores. That means a lot of the enemies for Doki Doki Panic had become Mario enemies, with many of them sticking for good. Like the Shy Guy. Yeah, they started out in this game. They're not officially transgender representation, but god damn it, they're NB in my book.
I don't get how Shy Guys are transgender or unofficially transgender. Like, it almost seems like you just want to shove LGBT politics into video games. What happened to video games being a escape into like another world? Why the fuck do I need to see and hear about modern day real life problems and politics in video games?
Said modern day problem being transgender and non-binary people existing, I guess. I don't even know how to respond to that. Also, that was an obvious joke on her part, just for the record, that you took completely seriously, making your pseudo-defense of Family Guy from earlier, by the way, incredibly hypocritical, given your criticism there was that she's taking jokes seriously, I think. It wasn't explained the slightest. And now you are quite literally doing that.
But another character absolutely iconic to this game would be Birdo. She's a boss character in this game.
I mean, I wouldn't really call her a boss character, more like a mini boss maybe, so yeah.
Basically, she'll shoot eggs out of her mouth, and you'll have to land on them and then throw them back at her. However, for details about her being transgender, you have to check the manual for the game. Birdo's entry in the enemies section of the manual goes as follows. He thinks he is a girl, and he spits eggs from his mouth. He'd rather be called Birdetta. Jesus Christ, poor Burdetta. Yeah, this is gonna be a trend from here on out. Trans representation being played up for laughs.
He thinks he is a girl and spits eggs from his mouth. He'd rather be called Burdetta. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, woman. Trying to be trans inclusive here to my fellow sister.
Like, real talk.
But yeah, that doesn't mean Birdo is trans, like, at all.
Never mind that these are common derogatory stereotypes used against transgender people.
At this point, anybody can think they are the other sex, and what? Now they are trans?
Yes.
That's not how it fucking works. You actually need to get the surgery and all that other shit before you become transgender.
Especially if you're a cartoon bird from a video game, apparently.
I understand this was a different time. 1988 was a far less accepting time, but I don't really care. It was wrong then, just like it's wrong today.
Bro, like, what are you even getting offended at this point? Nintendo being transphobes in the 80s? You're getting offended over a literal manual from a game that's like almost 40 years old at this point, saying something as tame as he thinks he is a girl and he spits eggs from his mouth. He'd rather be called Burdetta? Like, really?
You and I apparently have rather different definitions of offended, given all I saw her do was neutrally describe this instruction manual before editorializing by saying that although it was a different time, she still doesn't particularly like it. Is expressing dislike for something your definition of offended now?
You're getting this butthurt over that. Like, this is a new low of patheticness. Is that a word? I don't fucking know. Maybe I'm just stupid.
Yes.
Okay, I'll stop.
But seriously, this is 100% the type of person who would have a mental breakdown, freak out in a Walmart when she is in the checkout line and the cashier is like, will this be everything for you, sir? And she is like, it's ma'am.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
The cashier is like, oh, sorry, sir. Can you calm down a little bit? Like, you're causing a scene right now. And then Melanie is like, God damn it, call me sir one more time and I'll show you a fucking sir. Then assaults the poor innocent Walmart worker trying to just do her job for a minimum wage, putting up with retard customers all day, and is just trying to feed her children.
I just have to admire how oddly specific that example was. Most people would only make a mountain out of a molehill. You made Mount Kilimanjaro out of a molehill.
2004, Nintendo finally had a chance to redeem themselves after the problems with Birdo in 1988. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door features the character Vivian. In the Western release of the game, her sisters will joke about her being ugly and the least desirable of the three sisters. But nothing to really indicate anything funky going on with her gender. That is, until we get to the Japanese release of the game. Gotta love Japan's transphobia, woohoo!
I'm playing a woodwind instrument. I'm Japanese.
Wow, different cultures have different beliefs and morals? Woohoo! Imagine being so ignorant and close-minded you have the nerve to call the Japanese transphobes because they don't support your ideology. Crazy how far we have fallen as a society.
I mean, if that ideology is transphobia is bad and you don't support it, then yeah, by definition, you're transphobic. I don't know what you're going for here, I have to be honest.
Poor Vivian. And sadly, unlike Birdo, Vivian hasn't really made any appearances since then to really help mitigate these issues. What a shame. This one, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of sad to me because it just feels really realistic. You know, being chastised so heavily by your own family and flesh and blood.
Is that really true though? Like, I'm being dead serious. With all the support the Rainbow Mafia receives and how they are treated as a war veteran for coming out of the closet, are trans people really getting that much hate?
Well, let's read some numbers, why don't we? Nearly 40% of LGBT people report that they were rejected by their friends or family because of their identity. 41% of Americans say they would be upset if their child came out as transgender to them. 8% of transgender people have reported being kicked out of their house because of their gender identity, and 10% report experiencing violence from family members for the same reason. Fuck, I've met transgender people who have either experienced family rejection because of their gender identity, or who have had to hide their gender identity because of fear of family rejection. I don't know what the fuck you're going on about, is my point. Anyway, final thoughts. It's somebody getting angry over a video because they thought it made points it didn't actually make. I don't know what else to say. Good night and good luck.